77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts, including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org.
WABC New York, WRCR Haverstraw, and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellis, sports, and now
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Good morning. This is James Flippin filling in for Noam Laden on this Friday. It's the 4th of July. Happy 249th birthday to the United States of America. Always nice on these holidays to get a little time early in the AM with you, chat with you, and get everything set for the day to come, which is hopefully some combination of fun, relaxing, and patriotic. And you're waking up to clear skies around the tri-state. Winds are calm. Here's the 3-day 77 WABC weather forecast to kick things off. Later today, sunny, a high near 85 with a slight breeze. Just a gorgeous day, really, for your 4th of July cookout or parade or the fireworks. And then Friday night into Saturday, mostly clear, a low around 66. Tomorrow, Saturday, mostly sunny, a high near 86. And then Sunday, mostly sunny, getting up near 90 for the high. 64 degrees in Linden, New Jersey, 65 in Levittown on Long Island, and 69 right here in Midtown Manhattan. Let's hit our top 5 headlines.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
The big, beautiful bill has been passed, and Trump celebrated that fact. He will be signing it into law today. It's big, but not so beautiful. It's the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, which sees the return of Joey Chestnut. Down in South Florida, Alligator Alcatraz now accepting arrivals. The trash keeps piling up in Philadelphia. And the fireworks are back on the East Side this year. So President Trump expected to sign the newly passed mega spending bill today. The legislation made it through Congress. It wasn't easy. It was an uphill battle that saw 2 Republicans vote against it in the House. And it basically barely made it through the Senate as well. The so-called Big Beautiful Bill, a multi-trillion-dollar package, including tax cuts and government spending. It will allow the Trump White House to build the wall along the southern border, and it's projected to add over $3 trillion to the national debt over the next decade. And part of that was the concern amongst deficit hawks, including Republicans, as per the struggle to get it passed. Following its passage, Trump said Republicans are united like never before. And then last night in Iowa, he celebrated it. President Trump saying the big, beautiful bill will help usher in a new era for America and help build a golden dome to protect the U.S. from potential missile attacks. Speaking at the America 250 kickoff event in Iowa, Trump said Iran called him and told him that they would bomb a base in Qatar. And he was basically talking about how the president said 4 gunners alone shot down all the missiles that were sent at that base. Trump also said that the pilots that dropped the bombs on Iran will be at the White House today to take part in a ceremony. And there will also be, per Trump, a UFC fight at the White House next July 4th, which will be the 250th birthday for the U.S. Here's the president talking about the mixed martial arts event at the White House.
I even think we're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have. Does anybody watch UFC, the great day in the world? We're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this, on the grounds of the White House. We have a lot of land there. We're going to build a little. We're not. Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind. We're going to have a UFC fight, championship fight, full fight, like 20, 25,000 people. And we're going to do that as part of 250 also.
Trump's a big fan of mixed martial arts. He's a big fan of the UFC. He was at an event in Newark recently. Trump saying it's a great honor to celebrate America's birthday with the passing of this big government spending bill. Speaking there at the event in Iowa, Trump says he's already done more than he said he would since retaking office.
With this bill, every major promise I made to the people of Iowa in 2024 became a promise kept.
And Trump says the package has benefits for all Americans and added that the bill includes no tax on Social Security for seniors. Here he is talking about the bill.
Just as I promised, we're making the Trump tax cuts permanent and delivering no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security for our great seniors.
Yeah, and the no tax on tips was something he promised in the campaign. It was big in the swing state of Nevada, for example.
We've saved our country. We've got the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Meanwhile, Democrats not as excited about it. Governor Kathy Hochul lashing out at New York's Republican congressional delegation following the passage of the BBB. In a statement, the governor said the bill will rip health care away from 1.5 million New Yorkers and jeopardize SNAP benefits, SNAP food stamps, for nearly 3 million more. Her statement calling out the 7 GOP lawmakers by name and listing the number of people that she says will be impacted in each district. Hochul promising to keep fighting to protect New Yorkers from what she calls the cruelty and chaos coming out of Washington. Now, it is worth noting in terms of the way Medicaid works and has been kind of abused recently, there's a whole federal matching program. So a lot of states will try to put additional things through Medicaid to get money back from the federal government. Hopefully this whole big, beautiful bill can crack down on some of that. The Nathan's hot dog eating contest set for today, the 4th of July tradition going down on Coney Island, and this year's event sees the return of 16-time champion Joey Chestnut. Last year, Chestnut was banned from the competition, this due to a sponsorship deal with Impossible Foods, and the women's contest starts just before noon Eastern. Mickey Sudo, the top contender there. The men's contest will take place at noon. They're going for the mustard belt. Alligator Alcatraz is up and running. A Homeland Security bus and 2 vans were reportedly seen driving toward the new migrant detention center in the Everglades. They've also set up food trucks there. There are other cars, official cars. There will be around 3,000 detainees housed there. And what was an airstrip, a Miami-Dade County airstrip, now has the sign Alligator Alcatraz. And the first detainees have been brought in. Attorney General for Florida, James Utmeyer, confirmed the arrival of detainees, saying, next stop, back where they came from. A group of Florida lawmakers showed up yesterday to tour the facility, Democrats, saying state law should let them visit any detention facility in the state, but they were turned away for safety reasons, not quite a repeat of the Delaney Hall incident in Newark. And we'll talk more about Alligator Alcatraz. We're going to go down to Philadelphia and talk about the trash that's piling up there. And we're also going to talk about fireworks, for sure. But WABC News Time, 5:07. Coming up on WABC News Time, 5:09, this July 4th. 200 active duty Marines are headed to Florida to help federal immigration and customs enforcement officers, ICE, with this new Alligator Alcatraz effort. It's the latest use of the military by the Trump administration to assist with ICE after there were 4,000 National Guard members and 700 Marines sent to California during the anti-ICE riots. The Pentagon said last month it plans to deploy 700 troops to Florida, Louisiana, and Texas. There are about 100 National Guard troops that have already been assigned to Alligator Alcatraz. So have you stopped to think about this? It's the summertime. Philadelphia, a major city. I was just down there recently. And now the trash is starting to pile up because there's no trash pickup going on. 911 service has also been affected, all because of this municipal workers union strike. Now, first of all, it's absolutely ridiculous that public unions can form in the first place, let alone strike. They're just victimizing the very societies that they're aiming to serve. Now, I get it. They're doing a job. They're working. They want to be paid. But in this case, it's actively putting people's health at risk. In a major city, you're having piles and piles of trash. Think about the rats. Think about the mice. Think about the roaches. And this is also in a place, Philadelphia, where like in the Kensington neighborhood, you've got all those drug addicts swaying and rotting from Trank, which is a horse tranquilizer. But we're into day 4 for this city worker strike. Around 9,000 members of District Council 33 walked off the job Tuesday, impacting services like trash removal, water, 911 dispatch, airport services, more. So Mayor Sherrell Parker has been dealing with this. And yesterday she spoke to the media.
I left City Hall today from a briefing. I walked around and I had a chance to talk to some members from District Council 33. And when I talked to them about what was on the table, they said that's not true.
All right, so there's a dispute over what is or isn't being offered in negotiations, I guess. Not so surprising. Basically, the public union, District Council 33, wants more money. Parker found herself, the mayor, fending off claims from union members that she had given herself a raise.
They said, but we can tell you what is true. I said, what's true? That you came in, you got elected and gave yourself a 9% raise when you became the mayor. I said, I don't know how to tell you that is a blatant falsehood. It's an untruth. It is a lie.
So Mayor Parker's saying, well, she is getting a little bit more money, but it's not like that.
And quite frankly, to the tax-paying residents of the city of Philadelphia, well, I don't have the ability to stop information from being disseminated on social media. I do have the right to share the truth with you. $261,497, the same salary that Mayor Jim Kenney had when he left. I received a COLA in July of 2024, not that I gave myself, a COLA of 3.14%. Is that pie? I'm sorry, 3.14%. Okay?
So, what a mess. By the way, Parker not talking about soda with the COLA. That's a cost of living adjustment. And she says that a 2003 piece of legislation mandated that the mayor gets the cost of living adjustment. So that's why it went up by 3% or whatever it was. And she does have a job to do, right? COLA or not. So Mayor Parker plowed on.
I, Sherelle Parker, is your mayor who will never complain about the hard work that it takes to run this city, because I asked you to give me the opportunity to lead, and you had faith enough in me to give me the opportunity to become your mayor, and I've been doing the best I can with what I have. So when you talk about my salary and you give out misinformation on social media, I can't counter it.
All right, so it's getting ugly there, and that's to say nothing of the fact that you got piles and piles of trash at places around Philadelphia, because what the city's done is set up these big dumpsters where people are supposed to bring their trash and drop it off there. And as you can imagine, that quickly got overwhelmed. So Mayor Parker, at this point in this press conference, she started to go after the union leadership, and she also listed off challenges that she's already faced while mayor.
But I can tell you that the leadership of District Council 33, they earned $280,000 plus. I've been your mayor for 18 months. I've had to deal with a plane crash, an explosion, deadly fires, mass shootings, a school district that we're fighting for funding for, mass transit that we're trying to get funding from Harrisburg for, $1 billion in revenue lost to the city of Philadelphia because we have vacant commercial buildings in town that are no longer being occupied, that we need to get converted to residential.
Yeah, and the plane crash one she referenced was pretty crazy. That was a terrible story. A little girl that was receiving cancer treatment in Philadelphia and trying to fly back to Mexico. That plane crashed. And then the SEPTA trains thing down in Philadelphia with their financial issues, it makes the MTA and NJ Transit look like, one of the best run businesses of all time. So basically, Mayor Parker says, look, she's trying to show some humility and having a lot of frustration with this exasperating trash situation.
I've been working for you, the city of Philadelphia, and I'm not perfect. You hear me? But for anyone saying to you that your mayor is not providing a fair and fiscally offer on the table for members of District Council 33, it's just not right.
Yeah, so all right, that's already since Tuesday that strike's been in effect. So hopefully cooler heads can prevail and they can get some negotiations going and get the trash pickup started again. 5:15 on this Friday, July 4th. Let's check in on the sports desk and see what's going on the diamond. And today, the Mets and Yankees will renew the Subway Series rivalry. It's a 4:10 first pitch at Citi Field. Last night, the Mets edged the Brewers at Citi Field 3-2, winning their first series in 3 weeks. Juan Soto had a run driven in with a single. Pete Alonso had an RBI double. Brandon Nimmo homered. It was a bounce-back effort for David Peterson for the very injured starting rotation for the Mets. And Mets GM David Stearns talking about the current rough patch, basically saying he doesn't want to call up their top prospects in AAA.
We haven't played well, and there are probably areas where we need to get better, whether that's internally, players improving, either players that are here or players who are in AAA, or external reinforcements.
Meanwhile, for the Yankees, the Blue Jays swept them in a 4-game series up in Toronto. The Yankees fell 8-5 last night. George Springer continues to play well for the Blue Jays, swatting a pair of 2-run homers last night. And Toronto now leads the AL East after 5 straight wins. Yankees manager Aaron Boone says the Bombers' starting rotation is going through it right now, too.
We'll see. We haven't, just fresh off the field. So we'll circle up on that, see what we have with Clark tomorrow, and then go from there.
And it's a 4:10 first pitch. Mets-Yankees at Subway Series action, Citi Field. Former Met Marcus Stroman starting for the Yankees. The Mets haven't yet announced a starting pitcher. The second round of Wimbledon continued yesterday. Top seed Jannik Sinner came away with a victory in straight sets, and 6-seeded Novak Djokovic took down Daniel Evans in straight sets to move on. On the women's side, Iga Swiatek eliminated Catherine McNally, and Barbora Krejcikova took out Carolina Dolide. The NASCAR Cup Series taking it to the streets this Sunday. The drivers will battle in the Chicago Street Race for the Grant Park 165. The NBA Summer League slate kicks off this weekend. The Heat, Lakers, Spurs, and Warriors taking part in the California Classic. And then in golf, Doug Gim is sitting up top the leaderboard after the opening round of the John Deere Classic. And that's sports. I'm James Flippin, 77 WABC News. All right, so it's July 4th. Coming up on 5:19 a.m., and everybody's thinking fireworks, right? Yep, the United States will erupt into a kaleidoscope of red, white, and blue. It's going to be a vibrant celebration of independence, stretching from coast to coast. Up in Boston Harbor, fireworks will burst over the water, painting the night sky, and the crowds will cheer from the Esplanade here in New York City. As you know, it's all about the Macy's 4th of July Spectacular. And last summer, they did it over the Hudson River, but it's moving back to the East River this year. Pennsylvania, booming with blockbusters, small towns and big cities alike, going to set off those starbursts, echoing through the rolling hills of the Poconos. And then down in Maryland, Roman candles, spitting flame, Chesapeake Bay barbecues, and the Ohio heartland, backyard cookouts sizzling with burgers and hot dogs, charcoal and freedom. Out in Chicago, the Navy Pier becoming a stage for a thunderous display. The fireworks will boom over Lake Michigan. Families will gather on their blankets. Texas's Austin skies will explode with color. San Antonio's Riverwalk going to hum with music and laughter and sparklers and all that kind of stuff. Down in New Orleans, it'll be the French Quarter pulsing with jazz and firecrackers. The Mississippi River glinting with gold and crimson. And the Miami South Beach night will be glowing with neon and pyrotechnics. Palm trees with the fireworks going off in the background. And then Denver's Rocky Mountain Top will have plenty of fireworks, plenty of light and color. LA's Hollywood Bowl always hosts a star-spangled extravaganza. And then up in Seattle, the Space Needle will be where they send those fireworks up into the sky across Puget Sound. Albuquerque has hot air balloons dotting the morning sky, and then they'll have evening fireworks over the desert. Yep, from the Great Plains to the Pacific, from small-town parades with waving flags and urban spectacles of light, like here with the Macy's 4th of July Spectacular, it's all skies ablaze with the spirit of 1776. And for sure, it'll be lots of grilling and lots of barbecuing and lots of beer and lots of soda and all that good stuff as people celebrate America's birthday. But pyrotechnics experts, they're hard at work here in New York, getting 80,000 shells ready for the Macy's 4th of July fireworks show, which will be on the East River this year. Fireworks show producer Will Koss explaining one of the new features.
A waterfall that's going to extend up to 1,600 feet across the Brooklyn Bridge and fire straight down to the water's edge, creating this beautiful glistening effect. So the east and west towers of the Brooklyn Bridge will be projection mapped, and content and art will be displayed on the Brooklyn Bridge, on those two towers for the duration of the show.
Lead pyrotechnic Gary Souza says they've got new technology designs from China.
They transform from one color to another, whooshing across like a ghost going through a room, waving a pixie stick with different colors coming out. And we have those changes of 8 to 10 times. They're going to swoosh between the towers, come off the cables, and we have fireworks that are going to not only go vertically, but horizontally off the bridge, creating a helix, a wave.
And there is a ghost shell that goes up 1,000 feet, changing colors 8 times. Other effects including crackling crown jellyfish, sunbursts, and comet fans. I never knew that some of those had actual names, but I can picture them when you say it. There are performances starting 8 o'clock later tonight, including the Jonas Brothers, Eric Church, the country music star, and Lenny Kravitz. But look for the fireworks to start around 9:25 and then last around 25 minutes. It was a stormy start to the 4th of July weekend for parts of New Jersey. Powerful thunderstorms swept through the area last night, bringing down trees and power lines in spots. Most of New York City spared, but storms caused damage from Connecticut into central Jersey last night. New Jersey's Middlesex, Somerset, and Sussex counties hardest hit. The areas of North Plainfield and South Plainfield had multiple reports of downed trees and power lines. The mayor of Plainfield declared a state of emergency in the storm's aftermath. Residents urged to avoid driving and stay indoors as much as possible. There are a lot of security demands for the Macy's fireworks show. It's all about preparation for the NYPD and other agencies.
NYPD security is being ramped up ahead of Macy's annual July 4th fireworks show, which is returning to the East River tonight. Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch describes the plan that's in place to protect New Yorkers.
You will see thousands of our uniformed officers out in full force. Overhead, our aviation unit and drone teams will provide a real-time view of crowd conditions and any potential issues citywide.
There are no known or credible threats to this year's celebration. Lisa Ritchie, 77 WABC News.
And then in terms of a personal story, back in my childhood days, we always used to go watch the July 4th events in Montclair, New Jersey. We'd have a spot right by the high school where my grandmother would set up her folding chair. We'd watch the parade go by. She loved to wave at the floats. And then later it'd be the fireworks at Woodman Field. Cookouts all along the way. Definitely one of the fun things about July 4th. But fireworks and pets, dogs, they don't mix.
Many pets are frightened by fireworks, as Mike Spiata of North Shore Animal League of America explains to Newsday TV.
Make sure that we set up a space in our home, whether you have a cat or a dog, that's a calm space for that animal that actually help drown out any noise from outside, like fireworks. And I would suggest, if you can, to spend time in that space with them.
And make sure your pet is microchipped, just in case it does run away. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
And we love our pets. We do anything to protect them, right? Some people like to play white noise or background noise, rain sounds maybe, to try to keep the fireworks noise kind of drowned out for the dogs. And we love our pets. People also really do love the reality TV, huh? A record number of viewers casting their vote on Love Island USA. According to Dateline, Tuesday night's fan vote set a new record for the reality show when the Love Island mobile app received over 1 million votes in the first 6 minutes. And the show says over 3 million viewers voted to participate during the 2.5-hour voting window. Fans can vote multiple times per season for their favorite Islanders, which impact who gets eliminated from the show. Nothing to do with the hockey team. The only way for fans to vote for their favorite is through the Love Island mobile app. So that's a nice story. This one, obviously, a lot less nice and very tragic. The firefighter who survived that ambush shooting in Idaho last Sunday is improving. Engineer Dave Tisdall, critically injured. He underwent several surgeries, but he's now off a ventilator and talking. Deputy Fire Marshal Craig Etherton says Tisdall suffered severe chest and spinal trauma. Doctors optimistic, but he does face a long recovery. Battalion Chiefs Frank Harwood and John Morrison were killed in the shooting. The gunman killed himself. And actually, we just got word yesterday that the Tunnel to Towers Foundation is going to pay off the mortgages of both Battalion Chiefs Frank Harwood and John Morrison after their murder. And, of course, you can support Tunnel to Towers Foundation's mission by going to t2t.org and donate $11 per month. The U.S. Supreme Court is taking up 2 cases involving transgender participation in women's sports. One case is out of Idaho. The other's out of West Virginia. This is a win for conservative activists who have been calling for the high court to step in protection of women's sports. The group Texas Values filed a briefing in one of the cases, and they say in a statement this decision was an easy one, pointing to protections provided for women's sports under Title IX. And I'm James Flippin here on the 4th of July, filling in for Noam Layden. We're going to talk about the businesses that are going to still be open here on July 4th. President Trump, did he make any progress in terms of a ceasefire call with Vladimir Putin? Also, a Hollywood heavyweight and a Hollywood star, an actor. We're saying goodbye to him. And then we're also saying hello to a band out of the UK that's launching a reunion tour. And it's been a long time since they last played together. It's the 5 a.m. News Hour. James Flippin filling in for Noam Layden.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Sponsored by Secure Cash, LLC. Talking the news with Noam Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam.
On 77 WABC.
And good morning. It's James Flippin filling in for Noam Layden on this July 4th, Friday. And you know, the Nathan's Famous Hot Dog Eating Contest is set for today. Also, Curtis Sliwa going to be filling in for the morning show, so he'll be telling us all about that time he competed in the hot dog. He finished third, he said. Yeah, he did a little better with the garlic pickles, I think. And it is happy 249th birthday to the U.S. Always nice to catch up with you here on the holidays. Clear skies around the tri-state, winds are calm. The 3-day 77 WABC weather forecast. Sunny today, a high near 85 with a slight breeze. Gorgeous for your 4th of July cookout. And then Friday night into Saturday, mostly clear, a low near 66. Tomorrow, Saturday, mostly sunny, a high near 86. Sunday, sunny, getting up near 90 for the high. And it is James Flippin here with you on the 5 a.m. News Hour. Most businesses across the U.S. are going to be open for the 4th of July.
Independence Day is a federal holiday, so all post offices will be closed. And don't expect any pickups or deliveries from FedEx or UPS. The stock market will be closed, as well as all federal buildings and all banks. Costco warehouses will be shut, but expect most retailers, grocery stores, and restaurant chains to be open. Some stores may have reduced hours, so be sure to check online before you head out. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
President Trump took time to celebrate the passage of the big, beautiful bill last night in Iowa, and he's going to sign that into law today. But he said he didn't make any progress on a Russia-Ukraine ceasefire during yesterday's phone call with Vladimir Putin, the president of Russia. Before leaving for Iowa, Trump told reporters he had a long call with the Russian president and said they talked about a lot of things, including the war with Ukraine. Trump then added he's not happy about the lack of progress made during the call, and their conversation came just days after the U.S. announced it was going to halt some weapons shipments to Ukraine. Out in California, actor Michael Madsen is dead at the age of 67. His credits span 4 decades of films, including such titles as Kill Bill Volume 2.
That woman deserves her revenge. And we deserve to die.
And, of course, who can forget his role in Reservoir Dogs?
Are you going to bark all day, little doggy? Or are you going to bite?
He was also in Thelma and Louise, Donnie Brasco, Sin City, and more. According to authorities and his representatives, the Hollywood star was found unresponsive at his home in Malibu yesterday, pronounced dead at the scene. The sheriff's department says it appears that he suffered from cardiac arrest and no foul play suspected, I should say. Oasis kicking off their long-awaited reunion tour in the UK tonight. Brothers Liam and Noel Gallagher will be playing their first show together in 16 years on the first stop of the Oasis Live 25 tour. This is something fans have been waiting for many, many years, obviously. The world tour taking the iconic 90s band on stops across the United Kingdom before heading to North America for shows in Toronto, Chicago, New Jersey, and Pasadena, August and September, those tour dates. Tickets for the North American shows were sold out within an hour's time. Oasis was Britain's biggest band from 1994 to 1997, selling over 40 million records worldwide. An American novelist and her husband could be facing a trial in France over gold stolen from an 18th century shipwreck. French prosecutors say Eleanor Couture and her husband Philip helped to sell the gold bars taken from the wreck of a trading vessel during several dives they took in the 70s and 80s and 90s. The ship sank in 1746 off the coast of Brittany and then was rediscovered in 1975. It was looted almost immediately. A storm in 1985 dispersed the wreck, bringing an end to official recovery efforts. Some of the gold was found for sale in 2022 at an auction house here in the U.S. It was then seized and returned to France. The sellers, Couture and her husband, say they got the gold from some French friends. French prosecutors want a trial, but that does have to be decided by a magistrate. President Trump's announcement this week of a U.S. trade deal with Vietnam isn't sitting well with China.
Donald Trump said the U.S. will place a 20% tariff on many Vietnamese exports, down from the 46% levy announced in April. But a 40% tariff will also hit goods passing through the country to circumvent steeper trade barriers. This is a practice called transshipping. Trump's trade advisor, Peter Navarro, has called Vietnam a colony of China, saying that 1/3 of Vietnamese products are relabeled Chinese goods. Beijing's Commerce Ministry said it firmly opposes any party reaching a deal at the expense of China's interests. Laura Westbrook, Hong Kong.
And I'm James Flippin here on the 5 a.m. News Hour. We're going to get you our latest sports update in just about 5 minutes. But this broke yesterday. Mexican boxer, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., being taken into custody by U.S. immigration officials yesterday. The Department of Homeland Security announced he was arrested just days after he had faced YouTuber Jake Paul in a boxing match in California. The department said the arrest was in connection with an active warrant in Mexico related to organized crime, including trafficking firearms. And we've heard reports that Cesar Chavez Jr. is allegedly connected to the Sinaloa cartel in Mexico. UPS, the United Parcel Service, is offering buyouts to delivery drivers, part of what the company's calling a reconfiguration.
In a statement, UPS says full-time drivers can get a generous financial package for leaving the company, along with any earned retirement benefits. The union that represents drivers calls the plan an illegal violation of a contract agreement to create more than 22,000 jobs. Instead, UPS announced in April it plans to cut 20,000 jobs to lower costs and improve efficiency. I'm Tammy Trujillo.
Wall Street will be dark today. Markets closed in observance of the July 4th holiday. It was an abbreviated trading session yesterday, but a better-than-expected June jobs report helped stocks close higher. The S&P 500 set another new record, gaining 0.8%. And at the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average had gained 344 points. The NASDAQ Composite had jumped 207 points. And in financial news, automaker Nissan is recalling hundreds of thousands of vehicles in the United States over a faulty part that could cause engine failure, according to an TSA, National Highway Transportation Safety Advisory recall report. Engine bearings within certain models under its brand and the Infiniti brand may have a manufacturing defect that could cause engine damage and potentially lead to engine failure. Jurassic World Rebirth on track to rule the box office this holiday weekend. The latest entry in the Dino franchise expected to make nearly $130 million over the long holiday weekend. And Google is rolling out its VO video generation model, VO 3, and that's for Gemini users worldwide. Gemini is Google's AI plan, and it's now available to paying customers of Google's AI Pro plan in 159 countries. It is capped at 3 videos per day. The 4th of July, a big barbecue day. 66% of us here in the United States are going to fire up the grill. You've bought the food by now. The company is planned, and there's a lot of pressure to get it right.
Barbecue disasters can range from minor, like overcooking the food, or major, like your propane tank exploding. Pitmasters say you can avoid disaster by planning your cook. Start with a clean grill. Have water nearby, go easy on the lighter fluid, and invest in a meat thermometer so you don't overcook. The USDA says outdoor bashes also increase the chance for food poisoning, so keep things cold and wash your hands. I'm Bree Tennis.
And in terms of fireworks, we know that those could be really dangerous. You got to be especially careful.
July 4th is just days away, and experts are urging you to leave fireworks to the professionals. On Long Island, Suffolk County Police Commissioner Kevin Catalina.
We will be out there looking for people putting on their own shows, and we will make arrests.
Most of the fireworks are illegal and dangerous. Officials say sparklers are dangerous too. Catalina said there will be increased patrols looking for impaired drivers, not just on the roadways, but drunk drivers on boats. Lisa G., 77 WABC News.
New York State taking steps this beach and swimming season, and obviously this is a big holiday weekend for that, to monitor for sharks along shores, in particular the beaches of Long Island. The Parks Department teaming up with the Department of Environmental Conservation, expanding its shark surveillance capabilities. Part of this is the use of drones and drone operators at Long Island State Park beaches. And in terms of the concerns associated with fireworks here on July 4th, 3 homes in the Los Angeles area badly damaged following a fireworks-related fire and explosion. The incident happened around 9 o'clock last night. It left a woman in critical condition with severe burns. 2 other people treated for smoke inhalation. And the Los Angeles Fire Department declared the fire a major emergency. That's one of the highest levels of response it has. A 4th home and a vehicle damaged as well. And there was also a gas leak at one of the homes, downed power lines. So pretty chaotic and crazy in terms of what went down with those fireworks. This is a song I actually hadn't heard before, a song about fireworks, but we might as well mention it here on July 4th. The late 70s R&B band Mass Production just missed hitting the top 40 with Firecracker back in September of 1979. And if the tune sounds familiar, it may not be from the original release. 10 years after its release, the rap act 2 Live Crew sampled Firecracker for a song that gained worldwide attention. And look to the skies over the East River tonight, New York City. It's a celebration of America's birthday, and you're invited.
Pyrotechnic experts are putting on the finishing touches, getting 80,000 shells ready for tonight's Macy's 4th of July fireworks show on the Lower East River. Show producer Will Koss explains some of the new features this year.
A waterfall that's going to extend up to 1,600 feet across the Brooklyn Bridge and fire straight down to the water's edge, creating this beautiful glistening effect.
There's also a ghost shell going up 1,000 feet and changing colors 8 times. The fireworks start around 9:25 p.m. and they last for about 25 minutes. Lisa Ritchie, 77 WABC News.
WABC News Time, 5:45. It's going to be Subway Series action again later today, so let's check in on the sports desk. And today, the Mets and Yankees will renew the Subway Series rivalry. It's a 4:10 first pitch at Citi Field. Last night, the Mets edged the Brewers at Citi Field 3-2, winning their first series in 3 weeks. Juan Soto had a run driven in with a single. Pete Alonso had an RBI double. Brandon Nimmo homered. It was a bounce-back effort for David Peterson for the very injured starting rotation for the Mets. And Mets GM David Stearns talking about the current rough patch, basically saying he doesn't want to call up their top prospects in AAA.
We haven't played well, and there are probably areas where we need to get better, whether that's internally, players improving, either players that are here or players who are in AAA, or external reinforcements.
Meanwhile, for the Yankees, the Blue Jays swept them in a 4-game series up in Toronto. The Yankees fell 8-5 last night. George Springer continues to play well for the Blue Jays, swatting a pair of 2-run homers last night. And Toronto now leads the AL East after 5 straight wins. Yankees manager Aaron Boone says the Bombers' starting rotation is going through it right now, too.
We'll see. We haven't, just fresh off the field. So we'll circle up on that, see what we have with Clark tomorrow, and then go from there.
And it's a 4:10 first pitch. Mets-Yankees at Subway Series action, Citi Field. Former Met Marcus Stroman starting for the Yankees. The Mets haven't yet announced a starting pitcher. The second round of Wimbledon continued yesterday. Top seed Jannik Sinner came away with a victory in straight sets, and sixth-seeded Novak Djokovic took down Daniel Evans in straight sets to move on. On the women's side, Iga Swiatek eliminated Catherine McNally, and Barbora Krejcikova took out Karolina Dolide. The NASCAR Cup Series taking it to the streets this Sunday. The drivers will battle in the Chicago street race for the Grant Park 165. The NBA Summer League slate kicks off this weekend. The Heat, Lakers, Spurs, and Warriors taking part in the California Classic. And then in golf, Doug Gim is sitting up top the leaderboard after the opening round of the John Deere Classic. And that's sports. I'm James Flippin, 77 WABC News. Last night's fast-moving storms did damage across the tri-state, even though parts of Manhattan didn't even see any rain. The same storm knocked down trees in Staten Island's Annandale section. They did have a tree knocked down onto the LIRR tracks heading to the Hamptons, prompting some delays on the east end. Not a good time for that. In the Hudson Valley, reports of tree and wire damage. Around 10,000 customers were without power in Clarkstown. That's in Rockland County. 2,000 outages reported near Fishkill, north of Interstate 84, and all three New York airports did order ground stops during the storm, leading to delays of up to 2 hours on that holiday getaway day. And plenty of people will be heading to the beach to soak up some sun and do some swimming, have some fun in the sand this holiday weekend. But how much do you really have to worry about potentially getting bitten by a shark this summer?
Some of the sun worshippers who head to the beach this holiday weekend will have sharks on their mind after a woman was bitten by one at Jones Beach last week. The head of the Long Island Aquarium tells CBS that humans are not on the menu for sharks.
Like if we were, the sharks would be lining up off of Jones Beach, just waiting for these people to go in the water. So any incident that usually happens is an inquisitive incident. A shark doesn't have hands to feel with.
Shark attacks are rare. There were just 28 shark bites and one fatality in the U.S. last year. Noam Layden, WABC News.
Storms are expected to interrupt 4th of July festivities in Florida and parts of the Southeast. Florida's already seen showers and thunderstorms this week, and it's due to a possible tropical system in the Atlantic that does have a medium chance of developing over the next week. And the National Hurricane Center in Miami is keeping an eye on that whole thing. But out on the West Coast, more than 52,000 acres have been burned now across California's San Luis Obispo County by the Madre Fire, and that is the largest fire in the state this year. The blaze first spotted midweek in the Los Padres National Forest, causing authorities to issue evacuation orders for certain areas. Hundreds of firefighters now battling the flames, the Madre Fire at 10% containment. President Trump expected to sign the new passed mega spending bill today, the big, beautiful bill. Legislation barely made it through Congress. It was an uphill battle that saw two Republicans vote against the package in the House. This so-called big, beautiful bill, a multi-trillion-dollar package of tax cuts and government spending. The White House going to be able to build the wall along the southern border, and there's also a campaign promise made good here. No tax on tips, no tax on seniors. And it's projected to add over $3 trillion to the national debt over the next decade. That's part of the objection from some of the deficit hawks in Congress. But following its passage, Trump said Republicans are united like never before. 5:52 on the 4th of July, and it's a day for patriotism. It's a celebration of being an American and how much we love the U.S. It's also a day for fireworks and cookouts and heading to the beach and having a lot of fun. But the cost of a 4th of July barbecue is going up. A new report from Wells Fargo, the Agri-Food Institute, says food and beverages for a typical 4th of July barbecue for 10 people will cost you about $130 this year. Some of these, they're definitely not factoring in the tri-state, which is, it's okay. But 10 people, $130, that's not bad. And this is up over 2% from a year ago. The increase is due in large part to the price of ground beef, which has risen over 7% from last year. And there's another survey to tell you about from Coupon Fellow. It shows 1 in 3 Americans will not be celebrating the holiday. Come on. Get out of here. Who are these people? Many say they aren't feeling patriotic or that they're disconnected from American culture right now. Well, I guess we can probably surmise a thing or two about their politics. Coming up on 5:53, James Flippin, and it's going to be Curtis Sliwa and former Governor David Patterson sitting in for Sid Rosenberg on Sid and Friends in the morning. Not such a friendly feeling right now for Mexican boxer Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who's in ICE custody out in California.
The Department of Homeland Security announced he was arrested on Wednesday, just days after he faced Jake Paul in a boxing match in Anaheim. The department said the arrest was in connection with an active warrant in Mexico related to organized crime, including trafficking firearms. Chavez is also accused of making several fraudulent statements on applications for lawful permanent residence. I'm Brian Shook.
Officials in Alaska are now floating the idea of a bear Alcatraz to house migrants in that northern state. Florida getting a lot of attention here for opening the migrant detention center known as Alligator Alcatraz in the Everglades. White House policy advisor Stephen Miller calling on Republican governors to work with the administration to build migrant facilities in all red states. Earlier this week, an Alaskan official responded by telling Fox News, "We might not have alligators, but we do have bears." Alaska Governor Mike Dunleavy has not commented on bear Alcatraz. And we also know that in Florida, in Jacksonville, they're setting up another one of these things. So we'll see how that potential goes in other states around the U.S. Told you about this earlier. Oasis kicking off its reunion tour in the UK tonight. Brothers Liam and Noel Gallagher playing their first show together in 16 years on the first stop of the Oasis Live 25 tour. There is shows scheduled in New Jersey this coming summer, and fans very excited about that. But let's get more in terms of our stolen French gold story. I really enjoy this one. American novelist and her husband, Eleanor Courter, they're facing allegations that they might have stolen gold from a shipwreck off the coast of France back in the 70s and 90s. This was a ship that was discovered under the water in 1975, but it actually sank in 1746. Whether or not the couple's actually going to go on trial, well, that's still up for question, as a local magistrate will decide that. And sad news from the entertainment world as Katy Perry and Orlando Bloom have broken off their engagement. Representatives for the celebrity couple spoke to E! News yesterday, confirming the recent reports that they have broken up. Katy Perry, of course, a prominent pop singer, and Orlando Bloom, a well-known actor who played Legolas in The Lord of the Rings. All right, checking up here on our top five as we get closer to 6 a.m. The big, beautiful bill has been passed, and President Trump plans to sign that into law today. It's big. It's not so beautiful. It's the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, which sees the return of Joey Chestnut after he was banned for a year due to a sponsorship deal with Impossible Foods. And then down in Florida, South Florida, Alligator Alcatraz, open, accepting inmates. The trash continues to pile up in Philadelphia, and the fireworks are back on the East Side this year. So one of the things President Trump announced yesterday while celebrating the passage of this big, beautiful bill is that next July 4th, which will mark the 250th birthday for the U.S., they're planning on having a UFC fight at the White House.
I even think we're going to have a UFC fight. Does anybody watch UFC, the great day in the world? We're going to have a UFC fight. We're going to have a UFC fight. Think of this, on the grounds of the White House. We have a lot of land there. We're going to build a little. We're not. Dana's going to do it. Dana's great, one of a kind. We're going to have a UFC fight, championship fight, full fight, like 20, 25,000 people. And we're going to do that as part of 250 also.
And it's a 4th of July tradition in Coney Island as the Nathan's hot dog eating contest will get started around noon today. The women's contest shortly before noon, the men's contest at noon. Mickey Sudo on the female women's side going for the mustard belt. And, of course, Joey Chestnut hoping to become a 17-time champion, as he was banned from competing last year because he had a sponsorship deal in place with Impossible Foods. Alligator Alcatraz has welcomed in its first detainees in the Everglades. It was a former airstrip, and now it's got a sign up that confirms it is, in fact, a immigrant detainee center. A group of Florida lawmakers showed up yesterday to try to tour the facility, saying state law should let them visit any detention facility, but they were turned away for safety reasons. So that'll probably start to develop some headlines here as those lawmakers issue their complaints, but definitely not as intense as the incident we saw at Delaney Hall in Newark, where Democrat lawmakers were turned away, including Newark Mayor Ras Baraka, charges levied, and of course there's also the congresswoman who was arrested and still faces trial in that whole situation, LaMonica McIver. So stop and think about this one. Summertime in Philadelphia, trash starting to pile up in a really big, nasty way. Since Tuesday, members of the Municipal Union District Council 33, a public union, have been on strike, and so trash isn't getting picked up. 911 call service is affected. The airport service is affected. And you've also got water service that's been affected. And Mayor Sherelle Parker has been dealing with this. She listed off some of the challenges she's been facing now while mayor.
But I can tell you that the leadership of District Council 33, they earn $280,000 plus. I've been your mayor for 18 months. I've had to deal with a plane crash, an explosion, deadly fires, mass shootings, a school district that we're fighting for funding for, mass transit that we're trying to get funding from Harrisburg for, $1 billion in revenue lost to the city of Philadelphia because we have vacant commercial buildings in town that are no longer being occupied, that we need to get converted to residential.
That'll be the sound all around the United States later tonight. And right now, pyrotechnic experts are getting ready for the 80,000 shells that will be set off from the Macy's 4th of July fireworks show on the Lower East River here in New York City. That brings to a close our 5 a.m. news hour, and I'm going to make way here for Curtis Sliwa and former Governor David Patterson as they are, in fact, filling in this morning for Sid Rosenberg on Sid and Friends in the Morning. Happy 4th of July, everybody.
77 WABC invites you to a family fun day and softball showdown on July 20th with net proceeds benefiting Shriners Children's. John Sterling will call the game as the FDNY takes on the NYPD with special guests Dwight Gooden, Art Shamsky, 77 WABC hosts including Sid Rosenberg, Anthony Cumia, Lionel, Dominic Carter, and many more. For more info and to buy tickets, go to ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org. That's ShrinersChildren'sChampions.org.